Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the J22 Report. I am your host, Johnny Market. You all know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and just remember the disclaimer. Excuse me. Nothing should be construed as financial investment advice. These are just my opinions, thoughts on the market. You can read more about below. So, anyway, let's get into this stuff. I'll share my screen real quick. And I talked about the hedge funds being dumb money in one of my videos. And if you look at this, I don't know how much but this is in April, this article, see April 22nd. They were talking about shifts towards defensive stocks when fear of recession, sell off. And they were talking about, if you look at this, I'm just going to hedge funds are dumping consumer. They're embracing for economic trouble, likely a recession. Now, that's generally, I'm going to start following them, a red flag. This is one reason in gold. They were becoming net long gold, I talked about in April, and that's why I was like, it's probably going to correct some, which as it hasn't broken through 3,500 or anything. And they were getting defensive, and they've done pretty poorly. And so even though the stock market has not gone the way it is, I asked ChatGPT, said the US, while they're not aggressively long, hedge funds shown neutral to constructive tilt supported leverage positioning. So basically, they're still long, but they're not net long. So the stock market keeps going up and up, and this is why I had trouble calling the top. It just keeps going up. As you know, I said he's not resigning till the end of this year, so no calamity or things happened in this market this year, at least. I do think one interesting thing, this guy, Gary the Numbers guy, is not like a big Bitcoin bear at all. In fact, anything he owned Bitcoin. He does like numerology. I not meaning to say anything bad about him, but numerology sort of I found him, but I became very religious. I found out it's against my religion, so I try not to listen to it too much. But this is just the Instagram reel, and he's saying Bitcoin's going to crash in 2026. And the guy he did have a good track record. That's why I followed him before. But anyway, that's just going to be interesting to see. I don't know. Bitcoin, it could go up to 200K. I do think it's like the stock market. They're due for a long-term long-term bear market of 10 to 20 years, maybe 7 to 20. That's just my opinion. If this isn't the top, I think in terms of time, we're close to it. And I think gold has one more big upswing, but it's correcting. But these are some stories that caught my eye, and I think they're eventually going to get in. I was reading an article, and they said the main thing that's propping up the market is AI spending, which it's become obvious this is a bubble. Like, it's not. And look at this. Data centers are eating the economy, and we're not even using them. Well, yeah, we don't have the electric capacity, and we can't produce our own energy. We have to import it. I don't mean that in some sort of like left-wing climate change. I'm just saying we have a certain amount of resources considering our population. We don't have the productive capacity to reach it all unless we subsidize it and take away the profit incentive, and it's just subsidized by taxpayers or some weird, insane way of getting drills and permits. But then it becomes dangerous, environmental spills or whatnot. So yeah, Canada was a good ally, but now, relations are destroyed. So look at this, hundreds of billions of new data centers. Of course, none of these create jobs, as you can see by the jobs numbers. I'll get into that. But they're just doing infrastructure projects. And what these data centers are, they're like you remember those ghost cities that China had? Let's see if we can ask ChatGPT. If you don't know what these are, I haven't read up about these in a long time. So I'm just gonna go China had huge. This was a huge uh, story of ghost cities in the last decade, and it was like China was building all these ghost cities, and no one had them. And so, yes, China does have ghost cities, and so it's like speculative real estate development, urbanization, culture, and some cities labeled as ghost cities. Oh, so they're gradually filling them out, but uh, Inner Mongolia, yes, ghost cities often underpopulated, rare, abandoned, and some eventually become full functioning cities. So yeah, some of them are becoming full functioning, but as you can see, often underpopulated rather than abandoned. So very less. So if you actually look at this reminds me of the ghost centers, the data centers, and I mean the China elites are a lot smarter than the American elites. So over time, I think they'll be filled. But this, we don't have the productive and energy capacity to use them, and we don't have the uranium mining. We imported a lot of it from Kazakhstan and Russia, and I don't think that I think that's going to be so. This is not a good thing, and yeah, it's wasted capital. So anyway, here it is. This is our own version of ghost cities. The data centers, the AI data centers, they are going to be our new ghost cities next decade. So that's the thing. And just the economy, I'm going to get into the jobs numbers, but U.S. consumer financial stress and their household debt rose 185 billion, record 18.3 China, 39 trillion, driven by mortgage debt, which surged 131 billion. So credit card debt rose by 27 billion, just shy of an all-time high. Student auto loans have soared. And I was looking at the big beautiful bill, and you can tell they're trying to re-pop up the auto loan bubble because the existing car owners, they're having trouble. So if you actually look at this, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. And I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not anything. It's just what I read. And what is it? Where is it that I OpenAI? Maybe I need to put ChatGPT in my favorites. Uh, but anyway, what it said is I was trying to get my I have a what was it called? No, it's not a RAV Corolla Cross, a hybrid. And it was assembled in the US. And in the bill you could you could actually based on what I say, I'm not a tax advisor or whatnot. I'm not going to go. You just take my word for it. But do not do taxes off me. Just go look this up for yourself. I'm not a tax advisor. And so basically, you could write off your interest on your car loans, regardless of standardized or itemized deductions, top line, not itemized or if you take the standard, then you can't do it. And so I was like, sweet. My car was assembled right here, I think in Kentucky, but I'm not sure. But somewhere in the South. Uh, and anyway, it was all. It wasn't even if you had to buy the car in December 31st of 2024. So I based on my research, I no longer qualified, so I didn't care. And so I was sort of I was upset, and I was like, they did this because they knew all the current car buyers are, the auto loans. They know this. So instead of, giving these people a break who would actually probably need it on their tax, they're like, screw you. We just need more people in this Ponzi scheme that is the auto loan bubble. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to pop up these bubbles with that big, beautiful bill. That's what they're doing. I was looking at that. I'll see, but just some stuff I was looking over. I'm going over my finances. But anyway, Importantly, look at this. This does not include buy now, pay later. And look at this. This is just a small piece of the US consumer. So there a lot of people I've covered this are now paying using buy now, pay later loans. So let's go into another thing. Texas, which was a big boom of the last decade, mass layoffs now hit Texas, with Houston bearing the blunt. So a lot of people in my family in Texas say Houston's great and the economy is incredible. So another hitting the Houston area. Hope those people aren't affected. And heart goes out to those who are affected. I mean, losing your job stinks. So 1,877 layoffs. Of course, it always comes up more. Yes, they're required to report layoffs under the WARN Act announced implementing beginning in early August until October. So look at these, good amount. So this will be worse for the housing market there. So this is one thing I looked at. It was just interesting. Reevaluations. And this is from the Federal Reserve. If you look on here, federalreserve.gov, August 1st. And they clearly talked about official reserve revaluations. And now this isn't as big as they say. It's what they're doing is they're taking that gold in Fort Knox. And right now it's valued at $42, and they're just revaluing it to 3,300 so they can actually have more equity in their balance sheet and everything. So they are going to revalue gold. I don't think that's going to send gold to like 10 or 15 or 20 like people say, but they are revaluing it. But I don't think it's as big. And of course, they're doing this to offset operating losses and maintain net profits or minimize report net losses. So they are revaluing, but don't get caught up. In my opinion, don't get caught up in that story. It's not what they say. It's not revaluing it to 10 or 15 and going to make you rich. They would never do that for gold bugs and try to make them rich. Unless, yeah, gold is the freedom money, and yeah, they would not do that. So anyway, so this is the US labor market, and this is about the jobs revisions, and you all probably heard about that. And this is the thing, there's huge cracks in the data. One thing Trump was bad at was he would hire people last term, and then they would eventually not implement what he wanted. And one example is Jerome Powell. So the BLS that he's firing, I can see him just being not a good hire. It's possible right now, but this is what I said. Some of these things that I'm talking about, you look at it, they're eventually going to start showing up. These are the monthly changes in the jobs numbers. You look at it, jobs numbers here, 2023. This was the peak, but you can tell it's coming down now, and it's getting bad. And I don't know. I would love to say this is going to be revised downward, but I'm a little worried they're going to flat out just start lying about. And then look at this, revisions. But yeah, that's what I'm sort of worried about. I think the next rate cut will lead to more inflation. I think one's coming in, what's it called? September. So, and this just shows, this is really sad. I love my cat. It's like one of the favorite things in life that's ever happened to me. But so more people are giving up their pets. And of course, why are they doing it? If you look right here, financial hardship is the main deterrent. Animal care centers, like they're being overloaded. So very sad to see that. Do whatever you can to take care of your pets. The reality is like you're all they have. That's why even I have my kid, I try to make time for my cat. Was my cat like I'm all the cat has. Cat has a lonely existence without me, so I gotta pay attention. So, oh yeah, for those who say Bitcoin The banks fear Bitcoin, Coinbase and PNC work together. This is the thing. Everything that was told about Bitcoin was a lie last decade. It's tied to the US. It's going to go down when the stock market goes down. When? Who knows? But buying Bitcoin is like buying the S&P. So it's a levered play on the S&P. Market speculation. This is generally a sign of the top trading penny stocks and unprofitable firms gaining mass popularity in the US. So volumes in penny stocks, unprofitable firms, not seen since dot-com bubble in the 2021 meme stock market frenzy. Of course, dot-com bubble popped. 2022 led to a correction. So corporate bankruptcies, I talked about this. This was August 12th. They are accelerating. So with all this going on, how long can the 446 large companies went bankrupt the first 7 months of 2025, most in 15 years, higher amount than the years of 2021 and 2022. 2022 was a bad year in the stock market, so. And last two things, Social Security benefits. And this is what I said, next decade is when there's going to be real, I think, financial ruin fiscally on the U.S. government. And I think they're already prepping you for it. Social Security benefits could face cuts by 2033. Of course, the boomers die out. They get everything. Screw everyone behind them. So, whatever. But yeah, you can already see it. Not talked about yet, but this is I think America will start breaking apart next decade. I don't know exactly how the logistics are going to go, but we'll see. And then last thing, fear and greed, still at greed, so maybe not a sell-off soon. So not really much change in big picture stock market. It's not the time for investing's over. It's more of a tradable. This year, nothing big. We'll see next year. A major bear market's coming, just when. You can see all the inner makings coming. It needs a catalyst, but gold, I think one more upswing, maybe bad data combined with all that stimulus. So anyway, it's all just my thoughts. Hit that like button, subscribe, and remember, disclaimer, none of this is financial investment advice. I'll see y'all next video. I'm very busy, so I'll try to do these as much as I can.